This on your screen right now is a live video from a nuclear plant in Ukraine. And according to Ukraine's Minister of Foreign Affairs, tonight, Russia right now is firing on all sides of that nuclear power plant in Enerhodar. The mayor of the city says that the plant is currently on fire. This video was caught on the security camera earlier this evening, appearing to show some kind of projectile being fired at the plant.
The Russians have targeted the largest nuclear power plant in Ukraine, an act of aggression that Zelensky said could have been 6 Chernobyls. Hi, I'm Yasmin Khan with Rebel HQ.
We're following breaking news. Russia has attacked a civilian nuclear power plant. This is a first in human history. Russian troops now control the Zaporozhye nuclear plant after Russian forces lobbed missiles at the facility, setting parts of it on fire. This, by the way, is the largest nuclear plant in Ukraine. It's also the largest in all of Europe. And that fire is now out. But the company that runs the plant says managers there are now working at gunpoint.
I don't think I need to go into detail about what the significance of Chernobyl is, but I will give you some highlights. When the nuclear reactors at Chernobyl exploded, the Soviet government was more concerned with saving face on the global stage than acknowledging the actual dangers of what they'd unleashed. Those who tried to prevent the disaster were dismissed and silenced, and some were killed as a direct result of their government's actions or lack thereof. Lots of time was wasted in the interest of optics, and more people died than was ever necessary. Not only that, but countless innocent people were exposed to dangerous levels of radiation that would kill them eventually. The neighboring towns were evacuated and would remain unoccupied for decades to come. The world saw how dangerous and devastating nuclear energy could potentially be when managed irresponsibly. And for as bad as the Chernobyl disaster was, it could easily have been much, much worse. One thing that keeps coming up in this whole situation regarding the Russian-Ukrainian invasion is the question of fossil fuels. With many Western nations dependent on Russia for its fossil fuels, the Russian government is using that dependency to its advantage. We've seen oil and gas prices spike not only in the US, but throughout Europe, to the point that ordinary citizens are doing whatever they can to stay warm for the remaining winter. With that, people and nations are looking for fuel alternatives, which includes green energy sources, fossil fuels from other countries that are not Russia, and nuclear energy. Of course, these are more long-term solutions, but Russia's actions against Ukrainian nuclear plants suggest that it's hoping to get control of another energy sector altogether. So early on in their invasion of Ukraine, the Russians took Chernobyl. Now they've shelled Ukraine's largest nuclear station, setting it on fire and putting the entire globe on alert in a move that the US Embassy in Kyiv called a war crime.
The risk you are willing to take, the Russians willing to take, by firing at a nuclear plant, even if it's the outlying buildings at that plant, when something even as minimal as a power outage could have a serious impact, does show you how far the Russians are willing to take this.
This is a broad, scorched earth strategy, it seems, for Russia to take over this country. And we're certainly seeing that with civilian casualties, which more and more don't look like collateral damage, and I hate that phrase, don't look like the unintended consequences of indiscriminate fire, but the explicit intent of these attacks when you look at those residential areas like you were showing in Chernobyl, northeast of the capital. Civilians are dying here.
6 reactors were targeted, but thankfully, Ukrainian firefighters were able to put out the blaze before the reactors were too badly damaged. These reactors have the capability to power 4 million homes. Now, obviously, it's a little bit out of my purview to get into the details of the benefits or detriments of nuclear energy, but you don't need to be a nuclear scientist to know that Russia's recklessness towards these nuclear plants goes far beyond seizing Ukraine. He's directly threatening the planet. In response, Zelensky asked for a no-fly zone, but the NATO allies are hesitant to issue one because doing so would be an official act of war against Russia. It would essentially mean announcing World War III, which would almost inevitably be a world nuclear war. And some say that might be Putin's plan, to essentially bait NATO into a response so that he could tell the Russian people that the Russians are the ones who are being victimized and targeted. Even assuming he's actually delusional in his belief that he really is saving the Ukrainian people from, not being Russian. Even he knows that his invasion is not popular amongst the people.